Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to True Crime Groove. I'm your host, Maze. I want to thank everyone for listening to the show today. With me today, again, is my good friend Tex. How you doing today, Tex?
I'm great. Hey, hello, everybody.
And also with us today is the giraffe. She's going to help us out a little bit on the podcast today as well. How you doing?
Good. You can call me Giraffe. You can call me Riff Raff.
We'll call you something. I wanted to thank everyone for listening to the last podcast. It is officially our second most popular podcast, and we gained quite a few subscribers off that podcast. So that is fantastic. I want to thank all of you who liked and subscribed and listened to the podcast for doing so. We really appreciate that. Today's podcast is the case of Tyler Davis. Tyler and Brittany Davis lived in Wilmington, Ohio. At 3:51 on the morning of February 24th, 2019, Tyler Davis makes a phone call to his wife, Brittany. He's using a dying phone. It's almost dead. He's lost at the Easton Town Center. He's trying to find the hotel they're staying at. He tells her he's walking through some woods and that he can see the hotel. A couple minutes later, her phone rings again. It's from Tyler. She picks up and hears nothing. After 4 seconds, the phone clicks off. Tyler Davis has not been seen since. This is True Crime Groove. Let's get our groove on and talk some true crime. This is the case of Tyler Davis.
So, Brittany and Tyler Davis, they have a 6-month-old. They both work a lot of hours. Tyler works usually 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. He works in fast food, either management or just in fast food. They rarely get time to get out, even date night. They don't even, do that. So on their anniversary, on birthdays, they try to get out, go somewhere. So they planned, Brittany's birthday was coming up on the 24th of February. So they had planned to go to Columbus, and Tyler's parents were going to watch their son. They lived in Circle, I believe.
They lived in Wilmington, Ohio, which is about an hour and a half southwest of Columbus. His parents lived in Circleville.
Right.
That's where they were dropping off the kids, their kid.
Right. So they left Wilmington, drove to his parents, dropped off the baby, and went on to Columbus. And they checked in at a really nice Hilton there. There's a really large shopping mall across the street. And they have some friends that live there in Columbus who were supposed to meet up with them. Eventually, only one wound up meeting up with them later on that evening around 8:30, 9 o'clock to go out.
And we're going to call this friend Sean. Evidently, when this happened, the name of the friend got out and he was being harassed and things like this. We're not going to contribute to something like that. There have been no charges made against Sean, and he's cooperated with authorities as far as we know. So we're just going to call him Sean and leave it at that.
That's good. Yeah, you don't want to add on to that trouble. That sucks for that happened to him.
Right.
Because it's already an unfortunate situation when you're the last person to see someone, and it does look suspicious, but, I know they separate, like, I know, like, further down the line, I've heard that they separated, like, before all of the incidents gone down at the end of the night. But we'll get to that further down. We don't want to spoil too much here.
Right.
Right. So around, like I said, around 8:30 or 9 o'clock, they left the Hilton, and they stayed pretty much in the area. They didn't venture out far. They stopped at a couple of bars. Now, Brittany and Tyler are not known to be heavy drinkers, heavy partiers. They work too much for that. But on this occasion, they did. They were, relaxing and trying to enjoy themselves. So they went to a couple of bars. They are used to staying up late. Tyler does works till very late in the night. So the fact that they were out late is not a big surprise.
And just to mention, the Easton Town Center where this Hilton is located, when you say Easton Town Center, that's what it is. It's huge.
Yeah, I was gonna say
It
the same thing. There's like it's a mall, but also there's restaurants, bars. It's more than just like your typical mall setting.
yeah,
It's
not
all
it's
packed
not a
into,
typical
yeah,
mall. It's a lot
yeah.
more than that. There's like you said, restaurants, shops out. You can go in the mall, but you can come out of the mall. You can go walk around. There's a comedy club there called the Funny
It's
Bone. It's
huge, yeah.
very popular. Yeah, so it's enormous. This hotel they were staying at, this Hilton, is it, it might be the biggest hotel in Columbus. I'm not sure, but it's enormous.
Yeah. Maybe besides some of the ones downtown, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons I think they picked this area. It's like a vacation area in
Yes.
itself.
It's definitely a good spot. Honestly, I would have never really thought about it, but yeah, it is a really good spot to go and like have a good night out and go party.
Yeah. Well, that's what they were thinking. They did wind up going to, after the first couple of bars they stayed at for quite a while. The second one, they had more drinks, of course, which is, I find, typical. Uh, you start out, you're going to take it easy. The alcohol takes effect. The second bar, you drink more. Then they decided they were going to go all out. They went to a strip club and they closed this place down. So it was around, 3 o'clock in the morning. This place is going to shut down. And they did take an Uber everywhere they went. They left the Hilton in an Uber. So they were going to be responsible because they knew they were going to, party. And
That's
they
good.
called an Uber. Yeah, they called an Uber to pick them up at the strip club to take
They,
them
they had
back to the
gotten
Hilton.
they had gotten into it with the bouncer there at the strip club because they had brought their drinks outside, and there's no patio. They were at the Dollhouse. It's a local strip club, and there's no patio at the Dollhouse, and so you're not allowed to bring your drinks
Yeah,
outside.
big no-no. You can't have open containers out
And
in
so they had
Columbus.
got so they he Tyler had gotten he had been agitated at this point, um, on on his way home on his way back to the Hilton from the strip club. He's already in an agitated state.
Because of the bouncer?
Yeah, because of the conflict he had
Because,
got.
like, they were like, "Oh, you can't have your open containers," and he's obviously probably pretty drunk at
Right,
this point and is like, "Ah, screw you," sort
right.
of situation, or okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I think they were all three. They were all three, admittedly, quite intoxicated at this point. Well, they'd started drinking around,
5.
at least 9:30. They were definitely
Oh, yeah.
drinking, and this was 3 o'clock in the morning. So yeah.
Oh,
Um,
I was gonna say 5, damn, that's early. No,
Uh,
okay, so
no,
more like 9.
that's when that was my bad. That's when they checked into the hotel.
Gotcha,
Was about
okay.
5 o'clock.
yeah, no, yeah, they left the Hilton. They said around 8:39. So you figure definitely by 9:30 they were probably,
It's
having
already
something.
started. Mhm.
Yeah, gotten started. 3 o'clock, the club closed, so that was their time span for alcohol, and they ate too. I mean, give them that, they did eat.
Right.
Okay. Do you know where they went to eat?
So yeah, the first place they went to is a place called Bar Louie. It's both a restaurant and a bar.
Yeah,
It's like a burger joint, so they probably had something had a bite to eat there. Then they went on to Adobe Gillis, which is a bar that's inside Easton, and then on to the Dollhouse.
okay. Yeah, I've heard of Bar Louie before, yeah. And I know the area too. I don't know. Probably didn't mention this before, but I'm from Columbus as well. I'm Maze's other daughter. So apparently he doesn't claim me then.
Oh, come on now. Yes, I do.
Anyway, so they're end up at the dollhouse at the end of the night. I get that.
Right.
And they get in their
Right.
Uber.
So what
Yeah.
happens next, Tex?
So they get their Uber. And the Uber is going to take them back to the Hilton.
And the friend's still with them, right?
Right, right. The friend's still with them. All three of them pile into this Uber. They now it's at the most about a 17-minute drive from the dollhouse to the Hilton. Both of the guys go to sleep or pass out, however you want to look at that, from just drinking
In the Uber.
in the Uber.
Right.
And so they get back to the Hilton. Brittany wakes them up, and Tyler's extremely agitated. He either seemingly doesn't want to wake up, has trouble waking up, whatever. He's aggravated. The Uber driver is getting aggravated because they can't get him out of the Uber.
Sounds like me when I wake up in the morning.
Well, he's intoxicated. He's been aggravated, and now he's more aggravated. And for some reason, he doesn't think they're at the Hilton.
And I'm gonna jump in right there just because, just to explain, because I don't know where this Uber driver. It looks to me on the video like the Uber driver drops them off where they would have checked in, but
Okay.
at the Hilton itself, if you're looking at it, what you would think is the front of the hotel is actually the back of the hotel.
Okay.
There's no check-in area. There's no like thing where you can pull your car in and get it valet parked and all that.
Mm,
Yeah, it's just a street.
gotcha. Okay.
There's just a street. So if the Uber driver was trying to drop him off there, I could maybe understand why Tyler was a little confused and was like, "Hey, this isn't the right place." But it doesn't appear that's the case. If you look at the video when he walks off, he looks like he's walking through a parking lot. So I think the Uber driver did drop them off at the at the back of the hotel, which is actually, and we'll put a picture up right now so you can see the back of the hotel, or what they're actually calling the front of the hotel. But this is, depending on your viewpoint, it could be considered the back of the hotel.
Well, and so he's already disoriented because was drinking, and he's also disoriented because he just woke up from falling asleep in the Uber. So,
Yeah, he's like trying to wake you up.
yeah, exactly.
The other
Exactly.
thing is, you don't know where they said to drop them off.
No.
We don't know. They may, because these places have entrances, more than one entrance, and you use your room key to let you in these other doors.
Right.
Right.
They could have said, "Drop us off here, closer to our room."
Correct.
And do we know which room they were staying in?
No,
I don't think I have
it
that
was not
information.
on the first floor
Okay.
because the friend said, "Go upstairs and later on, go upstairs and charge your phone."
Okay.
So, assuming that's what was said, it would have been, not on the first floor.
Right.
Yeah, it's needed to be noted here. I think that like both Brittany and Tyler, both of their phones were on their last legs, so to speak. They're both.
Well, yeah, if they were out all day, all night until 3 a.m., I believe that.
So Brittany went in to charge her phone as Tyler walked off.
Right. Tyler got
Okay.
out of like when he was out of the Uber, he walked off. And their friend said he would go after him. Brittany said her phone was dead. She was going to charge it because the friend was going after Tyler. So
Sounds like something Pineapple Queen would do.
that was the scenario that happened, which I found that very odd myself. I mean, you don't know what you would do, I guess, unless you're in that situation. I know
Mhm.
I know with that beyond a shadow of a doubt, that is definitely not what I would do.
Well, and
But
logic kind of
that
goes
is
out
what
the
they do.
window when you're that
You know,
intoxicated, so
I just wouldn't let an intoxicated person
no.
walk off.
Mm-mm.
You don't do it. So Brittany comes downstairs. She charges her phone, gets something on it, comes back downstairs out front of the Hilton. The friend walks up without Tyler, and they talk. She said, evidently tells him that she did talk to Tyler on the phone. He tells her he's, blowing off steam, but he can see the hotel. He's in a wooded area. He's coming back. And the friend says, okay, well, you talk to him. Everything's okay. He wants to go home.
Yeah, he's definitely, and we know from I watched a video, so we know from the detective in charge, he was definitely trying to get back to the hotel because they have like a record, and I'm not sure exactly how they did this. If they just got it from his phone somehow, but they have like a recording of him like yelling into his phone, like using the microphone on his phone, saying, "Take me to Easton Suites," which is actually not the name of the hotel. It's the Hilton Suites, but he's saying, "Take me to Easton
Easton.
Suites."
Yeah. Google. Yeah, Google can track it. That's how they tracked his footsteps even from
Yeah,
when he left.
That's kind of creepy, but also kind of helpful at the same time.
yeah.
Very creepy.
Yeah, it's weird that they can find that out. But anyways,
Yeah, in a missing persons case, very helpful until your phone's dead.
yeah.
So Brittany finally the friend left. She is
And did he take an
still
Uber home?
I believe he had drove to Easton in his car.
Oh, that's great.
He was from Columbus.
yeah, he
Well,
lived
class act driving himself home.
Well,
right.
you got here's because I've thought a little bit about this, and the thing is, because I know people are gonna say, "What the hell? Why would you leave your friend like that?" It, it was like 4 in the morning. He'd been drinking all night. I'm sure he was tired. You would not think in a million years that someone's gonna go missing from Easton. There's businesses and the mall and people's townhomes and condos all over the place. Like there's it's a totally populated area with like big open fields in between some clusters of trees. There's just not a lot of places to disappear over there, at least looking at it initially.
Oh, I didn't mean for him to leave. I just meant that he'd been drinking all night, so maybe he should have crashed in the hotel.
Well, that I think that was they had given him one of the key cards. So that was an option. He could have stayed there if he wanted to, but he
I
chose.
wonder if they got into an argument or something.
Well, yeah.
Not that they said.
Yeah, not that Brittany or the friend said that.
Well,
th-
I would
Other than
imagine he'd have good reason not to mention that.
well, yeah, and other than they did say he was in an agitated state. So what got him into this really agitated? I'm out. I'm gonna walk off because like that was really out of character as well. He wasn't a walker offer. He would go outside and smoke a cigarette on the back porch when he needed to take a minute, but he didn't leave. He didn't walk off.
Look,
Yeah,
the other factor is they weren't drinkers.
right.
That's true.
So, who knows what he was like.
Yeah.
The drinking affected him, and he probably was more agitated, which is the thing that bothers me a lot. The fact that he was drinking so much, and she was drunk, he was drunk, the friend was drunk, and they just let it go, and he just walked off, and then another drunk person walked to go find another one. Brittany had tried to call Tyler several times after she got her phone charged. She went back downstairs, didn't see anybody. At 3:37, Tyler did call her back, told her he was blowing off some steam. He was in a wooded area, but he could see the hotel and would be there in about 5 minutes. She did finally see the friend, and he wasn't worried because she had talked to Tyler. It was getting close to 4 o'clock in the morning. He was like, okay, you talked to him. Everything's good. Everything's fine. He was ready to go home. He was tired. He lived there in Columbus. Not sure how close he lived to the Hilton, but he was ready to go home.
Right. They had given him one of the keys to the room, one of the cards, in case he wanted to stay. But evidently he decided he didn't want to stay.
Which I find kind of weird personally. I think like if you've been out drinking all night with your friends and you're already pretty intoxicated, I mean, maybe he just wanted to go home, but like I don't think he should have gone home in the state that he was in personally.
That's valid. That's a valid point.
Right. I think he should have stayed. So, because he was also asleep in the Uber when they got back, and it's not like it had been 2 hours. It had only been,
Right.
40 minutes at the most. So he was still
Right.
intoxicated. But he decided to go home. Again, her phone rang again at a brown 4, and it was Tyler, and she couldn't hear anything. It was just silent for about 4 seconds. Then she called him back, and it went straight to voicemail. And that was the last time that she could get him. Of course, Tyler's phone was going dead as well because they'd all been out without charging phones.
Right.
And I just wanted to talk a little bit about the area because I actually went over to Easton and I walked around this area. Well, first I started walking around the area, and when I realized how enormous this area is, I actually had to get in my car and start driving around the area. And I went over by Abbott Labs, and I walked through some of the fields, and the one thing I did notice, I was pretty far away from the Hilton, but I could still see the steeple on the top of the Hilton, and you guys saw that picture we put up. You can kind of see there's a big steeple at the very top. It's like white. It's like a triangular shaped thing with a pole coming out the top of it, and you can see that from really far away. So it might look like you're 5 minutes away from that, and you're not 5 minutes away from that. You're way further away than that.
Well, I can imagine. I'm not from that area, but the Hilton is they are large hotels and they're lit up at night.
Right.
Even at that hour, they're going to have lights in the front. I mean, it's not something that even when they pulled up in the Uber, it's not something you're going to think. It's not like these little tiny hotels that you're going to say, "Oh, are they open or not?" You're going to know what it is.
Yeah, and
Right.
the picture we put up is actually going to be a picture of the Hilton at night, what it looks like at night.
Right. So it was strange. The whole thing, it was strange for him to be so intoxicated. He thought he was in the wrong place. Brittany and Tyler's friend went home. Tyler was still not back. Brittany is still looking for him, just walking around. She calls some other friends that they have in Columbus. Most of them talk to her over the phone, tell her the same thing pretty much. He's okay. You talk to him, he's blowing off steam. He'll be back. Don't worry. Things like that. That she did call one, Adam. He was the best man at their wedding. He said, "Okay, I'm gonna come over." So he comes over in his car, and he and Brittany, they go around. They drive around. They go around, walk around the area, searching for Tyler. Don't find anything, of course. They search. They're up all night. She has not gone to sleep. They talk about they're going to have to call, his parents because he's very, very close to his mom. They need to know, what's going on. And
And she was hesitant to call the parents. And some people have pointed that out and said, "Oh, that's kind of suspicious. She's not call she doesn't want to call the parents." I find I kind of took a little bit of a different take on that. I think in her mind, calling his parents made this real. It made it
Yeah.
real for her that he's really missing. We really can't find him, and so that's
Yeah,
why I think
definitely.
she was hesitant to call the parents.
there's a possibility that's true. I know that she has said that that is one thing that terrified her because he was very, very close to his mom. That
Right.
if and that she knew him very well. They were friends before they ever started dating. If he wanted to leave her, he would have just told her. He wouldn't have ever done it like this. That
Right.
and he but he would never have done something like this to his mom. Gone, just taken off.
Well, he wasn't big with that, and I don't know if we said that before, but he wasn't a walker offer. He when they would have like a disagreement or a little fight, he would just like go on the back porch and smoke a cigarette. That was his way of
Right.
like
Well,
getting away or whatever.
and I think we know that he did. There was the call that he did make on his search on his phone that said, where he said,
Yeah, he's trying to
"Don't."
get back.
He was trying to go back. So I think clear. I mean, it did show that he was trying to go back. He just didn't know how to get there. So I think that clearly he did not intend. He wasn't leaving.
Right. So they call
So
the dad, right? They get a hold of
at
the
about 10:30 the next morning, she calls his dad, Kevin. He makes it the trip 45 minutes, and they search more for Tyler.
well, I think at that when the dad got there, that's when they called the police as well, I think.
Right? I think his mother said you have to call the police.
Right.
It's the missing person.
Right.
So they do that, and the police. Tyler's 29. He's not a juvenile. He's not an elderly person, and the police, I've told them they put it in their system. You know,
Right, but they don't really do much.
no, because they said if he wants to leave, if he wants to walk away, he can. What there's no evidence of foul play. There's no,
Right, he's an adult. Adults are allowed to walk off if they want to walk off. They're allowed to. So the cops' hands are kind of tied at that point. But so they decide to search a little bit, and I think Brittany and some friends came back that Sunday night and did some more searching, looking around for him.
Right.
And I think officially on that Tuesday, he was declared a missing persons, and that's when the police got involved with the dogs and some of the other things that they ended up using to look for Tyler.
Right. They
Man, that's kind of ridiculous. I mean, I understand that he is an adult and everything like that, but you know, it's the first 24 hours. That's so crucial to
Yeah,
finding someone. I mean, he could have been all the way down to, Tennessee by Tuesday,
well that
you
that
know?
comes into play when you're an adult. That's when the first 24 to 48 hours when you're a a juvenile. That's
I
when
mean,
that
I know that
time
is how
period
it
comes
goes
in.
for police investigations, but even for any missing person, really,
I know,
those
but
are the most crucial.
it's a catch 22 because lots of people go missing for a couple days. They, you know what I mean, and the police they don't have the resources to just
Right.
look for anybody that goes missing, immediately. They Because a lot of times, 95% of the time, 99% of the time, maybe the person's, you know, shacking up with a friend, or they
Yeah. And they're
whatever,
gonna come back.
and then they're found pretty easily.
And I believe
Right.
they said that there's in the Columbus area that they have 8 detectives that work missing persons with thousands of missing persons reported.
Wow, I had
It,
no idea.
yeah, it's like astronomical, the ratio to detectives to missing people.
Yeah, it's
Right.
insane.
So they
Because
can't there's just
here's
no
the
way
thing.
they can keep up.
Here's the dirty little secret of Columbus, and you can ask Brian Schaefer and the detective on that video. He mentions like two or three other people. People just disappear in Columbus. They just vanish, whoosh, off
Yep.
the face of the earth, like at an alarming rate. Like it's not normal.
Yeah, that's definitely true. It's probably some sort of like slip into reality and a little ripple in the dimensions here.
Alien abduction.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is exactly, but
Especially at a place like
it,
Easton.
yeah.
How do you
I,
just completely disappear? It's not like, I mean, we talked about there being some wooded areas around here, but I
well,
mean, the woods, they're not like a dense forest. I mean,
no,
this is a mall. This is a mall right next to a freeway at that, an outer belt, like a huge, like the 270 outer belt that goes completely around Columbus, a huge freeway with like 5 lanes. The,
yeah.
yeah, it's not like a barren wasteland. It's not quite a
Well,
city, but yeah,
we're gonna get into some an interesting tidbit that I learned about Easton, and something that I learned about. Well, we'll get to that in a second.
right. So she calls the dad, and the dad comes from Circleville, about 45-minute drive, and
They call the
they call the
cops,
police.
and
So
then
by Tuesday, you said they
by Tuesday,
finally start the search.
right, they bring out the dogs and they start canvassing um, the area and talking to people. They said they handed out flyers. This was a little bit of a weird thing that found, because I think she said she handed out 2,000 flyers. First of all, that's not enough, I don't think, because the area is so massive. But even let's just say, okay, let's say they handed out 2,000 flyers. So I know somebody that works at Easton. They work up in one of these office buildings. There's a bank over there by Abbott Labs, and there's a surgery, urgent care or surgery place or something. And their parking lots with all these cars in them, like 300, 500 cars, maybe, I don't know, a ton. And especially then, I don't know if COVID's, I don't know if less people work over there now physically, but at this time they did. And according to the person I talked to that works over there, not a single flyer was put on any of those cars. I find that extremely weird. That those
And I don't know if
parking
we
lots,
mentioned this before, but how long ago did this happen?
2019.
2000, so like a couple years ago. Okay.
Right, right.
Yeah, and I never even heard about this case, and I've lived in Columbus my whole life.
Well, because missing persons is a thing in Columbus. It just
Yeah,
happens
I
all the
mean, but
time.
you
So,
think it would have been on the news or
oh,
something,
it
or
was
on social
it was on
media?
it was on the news. It made the news. I saw
Yeah.
it.
Well, that's good to know.
So, Tex, tell us about this area, because you're from down on the bayou.
Yeah, I was surprised. The swamp looks exactly like the swamps here. When they
Right.
said it was a swamp, I was like, they know about swamps.
So what happens is there's a swamp at Easton. Nobody, I didn't know this. I've been
I
over to
had no
Easton.
idea.
I've been
Right.
over to
So
Easton 100 times. There's an area where there's clusters of trees, very hard to walk through, with waist high, stomach high water in it.
right. The last place that his phone was tracked was in the parking lot at the Abbott Labs. And I believe it's south of that, not far. I mean, the that parking lot is big.
Just
It's a
just
big
to
area there
just in case you're looking at a map, it's actually east, not
of that.
south.
Okay.
It's east of Abbott Labs. Yeah.
There's a it's a swamp. And when you look at it, if you looked at a swamp in the bayou, it looks exactly the same. It's murky water. You cannot just go
You
over there and look at it. They brought
can't even get a boat in there.
right. You would have to have airboats to go in
Right.
it. The Columbus got sonar equipment from Texas to get in there to look. The detective waded through there. It was waist high water. It's a big area when you get into a swamp to search.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
that
it's
so
a
that's
good place to disappear. I mean, if
yeah, yeah.
down south, you can disappear a whole body in there. And I don't know if y'all have alligators there in your swamp.
No.
I don't
I was
think
gonna
so,
say
but
that. I was like, thank goodness there wasn't
Who
no
knows?
alligators in there.
not sure, but I don't think so, but who
It
knows?
can be food down
Who
here.
who knows? I didn't even know we had a swamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Uh, you
Just
know,
gets
a,
crazy and
a
crazy.
body is food down here
Right.
in the swamp.
Right. No, yeah, we don't have anything like that, so
So, but they have searched it, and it's difficult search. It's a very difficult search in a swamp. But they did search that. They said the people at Abbott had been very helpful with whatever they needed to do, as far as everybody has been that they've asked to help. They said, whatever y'all need, just go do it. But nothing has come up.
Right.
But he
And
could. I mean, as intoxicated as he was, he could have drowned. But you would have thought that his body would have floated up.
you would think so.
there would be a body in general
Yeah.
Yeah,
that would have turned up in this
and there's no
area.
body. And
So
the other thing, when you talk about the interstate right there by close to Abbott,
Yeah.
that's
well,
something
yeah.
that the interstate being right there. Did he wander over there to the interstate,
They didn't
try to
seem
hitch
to
a
think
ride,
so, but they
and
definitely
got in the wrong car?
that's definitely on the list of theories because there is a major interstate that runs right past Abbott Labs, Easton, basically, and you could just walk onto the freeway and put your thumb out and get in a car if you wanted to. There's also the elephant in the room that we kind of were talking about a little earlier of human trafficking. That's a big thing in Columbus. It's a hub for human trafficking. Lots of people get human trafficked through Columbus every year, just because of where it is. I guess it's central
Yeah.
in Ohio, and so I'm not sure exactly why Columbus is a hub, but it is.
I
I
have
know that.
heard that a lot, that Columbus is one of, like, not the worst in the country, but like it's up there on
Yeah,
the human trafficking for some reason.
right.
It's not
So
like Columbus is a bad area either, like, I mean, certain parts, of course, but we are in a not terrible area here in Columbus at Easton,
yeah, no,
and that's
this is
just a strange thing.
there's there's nice condos over at called Easton Commons. These
Mhm.
beautiful brick um brick townhome.
Townhome.
Yeah,
Yep.
just really nice. I can't even imagine how
It's
much it
super nice
costs to live
area,
in one
yeah.
of those. But
Oh, I couldn't, no, I couldn't even.
but
My wallet
we're
said no.
not talking a slum or a ghetto or someplace
No, it's
where
a nice area.
and even there, like if you're talking about a street crime, street criminals don't usually take the body with them. You know, even if they
No,
kill you,
yeah,
if they rob you and shoot you, they're gonna just you're just gonna
run
drop
off.
and they're just gonna run away. They're not gonna take the time to go, well, how do I dispose of this body?
No, yeah, definitely not.
Because Stelzer Road, depending on where you are on Stelzer Road, it can get a little, but you have to,
Iffy.
yeah, but you have to go down a ways.
Yeah,
You have to go
definitely.
south. You
And
have to go
not where
south a
the
ways.
area where the hotel was and where he might have
No,
walked. I mean, if I'm thinking in my mind where I would have wandered off to in that area, like there's really not much besides Easton, of course, not much else around that area. Like it's like open fields, a couple like a dense little patch of trees. I wouldn't really call it a forest, but a dense patch of trees and buildings and houses and stuff, and then the
yeah,
freeway.
right,
And
yeah, it's
I think that with either the swamp or that area called, what's it, the Oval, that
right.
has a lot of trees there. And as inebriated as he was, after, his phone went dead,
Well, and the thing is, because
plus
his
the
wife,
interstate, it's just
uh,
a big area to get lost in.
and his wife mentioned on an interview I watched uh, that Tyler was not an outdoorsy guy. He was more of an indoor cat, and she said his what he would call a forest or woods could be three trees in a circle, and he would say that that was the woods. So when he's saying I'm in the woods, he might not be in what you would be calling woods.
Right, but I know that the detective termed areas they searched in the woods.
Yeah, well, there are some
So,
woods over there. It's just I
and
don't
he
know if I
was
would.
in the area of those woods. I mean, he
Yeah,
could have easily walked to them.
I don't know if I would call. I know the detective called them woods. I'm not sure I would call them woods.
I mean, I guess
I'm a
it's like
marine. I'm a marine. I've been in the woods before. That's not this.
I
Well,
mean, I
it might
guess
be the
you
woods, but
could say it's like an acre of trees.
it
But I
would.
don't think there is an acre of trees over there. Where is there an acre of trees over there?
I mean, okay, if I'm looking at the map right now, across the street on Stelzer Road is a patch of trees. Um,
The one right
uh,
before the freeway you're talking? Right
yeah,
before Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go drive out there and tell me how lost you would get in those trees. It's maybe 50 yards long, and there's about 20 trees there.
I'm
There's
telling you right now, just by looking at the satellite view of it, um, even if I did get lost in that, the police would have found me.
Well, yeah, they should have. But anyway, so what happened to Tyler Davis? You guys got any theories on the matter
I
besides the ones
mean,
we've discussed?
it is strange to me, and we bring up the Brian Schaefer case, and it is just so eerily similar in the sense of he practically just disappeared off the face of the earth because we literally have no body. We have nothing in this area. I mean, there's, you know, it's just so strange to me because you think that after so long, like, I mean, 2 years have gone by and we have nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Nope.
Just gone in the blink of an eye.
Tyler Davis is 29 years old. He is 5'10", 170 pounds with brown hair and brown eyes. He has a birthmark on his right arm, and it goes all the way up his arm and up to his neck. We're going to put a picture on the podcast here so you can see that, and so you know what it looks like. He was last seen wearing a blue and green flannel shirt with blue jeans and black and white Nike shoes. If you have any information on the disappearance of Tyler Davis, please contact the Columbus Police Department, the Missing Persons Department.
Thanks everybody for listening to True Crime Groove. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to click your like and subscribe button. And thanks, Giraffe. We really enjoyed having you on today.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you all for listening. We really appreciate that.
Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram. We also have a Facebook page. We really appreciate you guys checking out those platforms. And you can also shoot us an email at truecrimegroove@gmail.com. And we would love to have some input from you guys if there is any particular case that you want to hear in the future. And thank you again, always. And thank you guys so much again for having me on the podcast this week. As always, peace, love, and stay groovy, guys.